Tell me about faith. Tell me about your faith. When you were young, how'd you grow up? What happened?
So I grew up in a Christian home. It was it was more Southern Baptist when I grew up. It was the hellfire and brimstone, you know. Don't do this, don't do that, and then usually that's the person you find doing it anyway. Which is I'm like, hey, it's human stuff, right? I'm like, well, you know, you're on the front line now. I'm like, you know, I didn't want it till you told me I couldn't have it, you know. But I grew up that way, and it was just the way I was raised by my parents. And the love, and my whole family. I mean, both of my grandfathers were pastors.
Wow.
And I saw. Did I see? I'm pretty sure I saw my mom's dad preach a few times. But he would get a shout out on the Gaithers. You know, they talk about being at a tent revival in South Carolina, and they're like, that's my grandpa.
Wow.
But that's what I grew up around. Does that mean I stayed that way? Absolutely not.
Because you had a brush with darkness.
Oh, big time. Yeah. My first 7 years of school was at a Christian school. My parents were doing well enough to put me in a private school, which had its own issues. When I went to public school in 8th grade, you know, I was like, just to say peer pressure was a new thing for me, you know. You know it's wrong to do it, but if somebody calls you a chicken, you're like, well, I'm not a chicken. I mean, you know what I mean? I mean, I know I'm going to get expelled if I do this, but I might be a lot of things, but I'm not a chicken.
Right. I think I learned a lesson. I think it was in Back to the Future 2 or 3.
Yeah.
The chicken thing.
So in my teenage years, I did, and I put this in the book. I went through a little spell of. It started with like witchcraft stuff, and then it led into like just like a friend. I always use air quotes. My friend introduced me, and it starts kind of innocent and stupid, but. I ended up just going into full-blown Satan worshiping, you know, wanting to sign a contract in blood and all this crazy stuff. I watched every horror movie from A to Z that was out, you know, when you could go rent movies on a VCR tape. And I was just in a real dark place. I didn't realize it at the time. Of course I didn't. I was a teenager. But when you get older and you look back, I'm like, oh, man, my parents had gotten divorced, and that, you know, that, hey, are you okay with this? Because I'd never seen my parents argue at all. But that last year they argued nonstop, and then they got a divorce. They got separated, and then they got a divorce. And looking back, I could see that, you know, it's like, hey, are you okay with this? Yeah, I don't care. Yeah, I don't care. I was probably saying something else, a little more vulgar in my mind, you know. I don't. You know, but that went into everything I did. And that's kind of like, I don't care. And it kind of goes, it doesn't kind of go, it goes with, if you look at gangs, cults, extremism, whether it's far left, far right, radical jihad, they kind of, you'll see this thing where they're grabbing somebody who has a need to belong, wants to fit in. Maybe even as a young man, you want power. Yeah, and you that's that slippery slope that led me down that path. And then as I tell the story in the book, I'm still unbelievable friends with my core high school group. And the only thing we can chalk it up to is that it's everything we went through growing up that kind of made us keep this bond. But one of my buddies was there. We were drinking one night, and I'd gone to this full-fledged deal where I'm just talking in demon voices. I was losing friends. It was just evil, man. I had a Volkswagen, oddly enough, for my first vehicle. They do have good headroom.
You don't seem like the Volkswagen Beetle. You don't seem like the Beetle. Did you have the little flower in the dash?
No, they didn't do that then. This was a 1971, I think. Okay. So yeah, but solid white with chrome rims. You know, doesn't matter what the body looks like as long as you got good tires on it. But the place that worked on the car was a Christian workshop, and I would set the tape. Say the band's Grim Reaper, and then somewhere in there in that 80s satanic, you know, pentagram stuff, there'll be some demonic speak, and I would set the cassette to where when they cranked the car, it would just be blaring, because you could do that back then, and it would be blaring that stuff. It's just evil. It's just, I mean, I was not cool, and I was shooting everything in my backyard. I wasn't, It wasn't good. And one night, I'd started doing these like skits, if you want to call them that. But I was acting out a scene that I'd seen in the movie where it's a demonic possession.
And you were with people, or
yeah, we'd had a party and we were at somebody's house. I don't remember the name. I can see the guy. I can't remember his name. I didn't drive there that night, so just alcohol, no psychedelics, nothing hallucinator, nothing like that. And I was doing the thing. We were in the same room. It was my buddy and his girlfriend, and I was on a couch. Nothing nefarious happened. Everybody, at least I didn't think it was. Everybody's passing out, but I'm doing this scene in my head where. That I'd seen in the movie, and you talk like yourself, and you're screaming no, 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 and then you laugh like the demon, and you talk like that, and I was going back and forth doing this, I don't know, play, if you will, and it ends with the demon winning, and the demon taking over your body, and I was facing the back of the couch, and when I rolled over, laughing like the demon, or the satanic whatever possession, when I rolled over, what I saw was all red, like a watery image, and it was a demon looking at me, smiling with its crooked finger and nails and looking at me and giving me the come here. And I screamed. I laugh now because I'm 54, but I screamed probably the highest I've ever screamed. And from just me reaching, like sitting up on the couch and reaching for the light switch, I was as white as a sheet. I was panting, pouring sweat. Of course, my buddy jumps up like, what the heck is going on, And I looked at him and I said, man, if I ever do that again, if I ever use that voice or even do this again, you got my permission to take a baseball bat and crack me over the skull with it or something to that effect. He got completely calm, Glenn. It was like the spirit just entered the room. Everything just went, whoo, and he looked at me, and I don't even know if he remembers saying it because I think it was the spirit. He looked at me and he leaned in as if he knew what I'd seen. And he said, I told you, didn't I? That was it. I didn't sleep. I walked to church. I don't know how many miles it was. It was a Saturday night. And I walked to Edwards Road Baptist Church in Greenville, South Carolina. And I think I sat through every service.
I would have too.
That was it. That was it for the demonic stuff for me.
What did he mean by, I told you?
I think early on, he'd said, like, man, you need to stop that crap. You're scared.
So he
people.
was not part of.
No.
Oh, okay.
No, he was he was one of the friends I was losing because I was going into such a dark place. And then, throughout my life, have I seen demonic stuff? Yeah. Have I had to go to a satanic concert festival for 3 days?
How do you do it?
I've very transparently, it's because they had Jack Daniels there. That's the only way I said.
As an alcoholic, I can appreciate that.
I'm like, it's at a bar, right? And they're like, yeah. And I go, do they serve whiskey? And they go, yeah. And I go, I think I can do it. I was like, because I don't know about walking into. It's just a bunch. For me, when you walk in, it's sad because it's a bunch of lost souls, is what it is.
How many of those lost souls actually know what they're dealing with? Like, you didn't know what you were dealing with until it happened.
Yeah, I don't. I would venture to say a bunch because they're probably just on it for the kick, right. Or maybe they're saying they're atheist and they're doing it just to be funny, But you start scratching at the surface. I'm telling you right now, in my belief system, there's definitely spiritual warfare and all kinds of stuff.
It's the only way to describe, I think, what's happening, because it's sweeping the entire world, and it's either deep mental illness or it's possession of some sort. There is, I have friends who are atheists who have said to me, I don't know how to describe what I'm seeing other than evil. And I know that's not an atheist word, and I know what it means, but I can't describe this any other way.
Yeah. And that's what I try to tell people. I put it in the book. I'm sure it's been said before, but the best way for me to explain it, a lot of these interviews, I've been blessed on this book launch tour and stuff, and even the Rolling Stone magazine article back in 2022. But I just say, look, you just need to understand that there are evil people on this planet that want to do evil things to good people. And it's been that way pretty much since the beginning of time.